Every morning, millions of seniors crack an egg into a pan believing they're making a smart, protein-rich choice. But what almost no one talks about is that the moment heat touches that egg, a silent chemical transformation begins. And depending on how that heat is applied, the same food that could protect muscles and the brain can instead accelerate inflammation inside the body. Eggs are loaded with cholesterol, and cholesterol itself is not the villain it was once made out to be. But when cholesterol is exposed to excessive heat, especially dry, high-temperature cooking, it oxidizes. And oxidized cholesterol has been shown in multiple human and animal studies to contribute directly to arterial plaque formation, endothelial damage, and increased cardiovascular risk. This matters profoundly for seniors because aging blood vessels are already less elastic, more prone to oxidative stress, and slower to repair themselves, meaning damage that might be tolerable at 30 can quietly accumulate at 60 or 70. When egg whites turn rubbery and yolks turn chalky, that's not just texture loss, it's molecular damage, including the breakdown of delicate phospholipids that normally help cholesterol move safely through the bloodstream. Research has shown that oxidized cholesterol particles are more likely to be taken up by macrophages, turning them into foam cells, which are the earliest building blocks of atherosclerotic plaque. And this process doesn't cause pain, it doesn't cause warning signs, it simply progresses silently year after year. What makes this even more alarming is that high heat cooking also degrades fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A and D, nutrients seniors desperately need for immune resilience, bone health, and cognitive protection. At the same time, excessive heat triggers the formation of advanced glycation end products, known as AGEs, compounds that stiffen tissues, damage joints, and are strongly associated with accelerated aging and chronic disease. Seniors already accumulate AGEs more rapidly due to reduced metabolic clearance, so adding more through burnt or overcooked eggs is like pouring fuel on a fire you can't see. Even the protein structure of eggs changes under intense heat, becoming harder to digest, which places additional strain on an aging digestive system that may already be producing less stomach acid and fewer digestive enzymes. This means the body extracts less usable protein from the same egg, undermining one of the main reasons seniors eat eggs in the first place: preserving muscle mass. Muscle loss, known as sarcopenia, is one of the strongest predictors of frailty, falls, loss of independence, and early mortality. And yet, overcooking eggs reduces the bioavailability of amino acids like leucine that signal muscle repair. What's shocking is that studies comparing cooking methods consistently show that gently cooked eggs, such as soft-boiled or poached, preserve antioxidant capacity and reduce lipid oxidation compared to frying or scrambling at high temperatures. In other words, the same egg can either protect or harm depending entirely on how it's cooked. This is not about fear, it's about chemistry, because heat is a tool, and like any tool, misuse causes damage. Seniors are especially vulnerable because antioxidant defenses like glutathione decline with age, meaning the body is less capable of neutralizing oxidative compounds created during aggressive cooking. This creates a perfect storm where dietary oxidants accumulate faster than the body can clear them, subtly increasing inflammation that manifests later as joint stiffness, cardiovascular events, or cognitive decline. Even the oils commonly used to cook eggs make the situation worse, as vegetable oils high in omega-6 fats oxidize rapidly under heat, producing lipid peroxides that further amplify inflammatory pathways. When eggs are cooked gently, however, the story completely changes, because the yolk remains semi-liquid, protecting cholesterol within its natural phospholipid shell. The proteins remain easily digestible, and key nutrients remain intact. Soft-cooked eggs have been shown to improve carotenoid absorption, compounds linked to eye health, and reduced macular degeneration risk, a leading cause of vision loss in seniors. The tragedy is that most people were never taught this, and instead learned to equate browned, well-done eggs with food safety or flavor, not realizing that safety comes from proper sourcing and handling, not from burning nutrients into submission. The real danger isn't eggs, it's the slow, invisible damage caused by repeated exposure to oxidized fats and proteins day after day, year after year. And the most unsettling part is that this damage doesn't announce itself until it's advanced, until arteries narrow, joints ache, or energy fades, at which point people blame age, not realizing the issue may have been cooking on their stovetop all along. When seniors switch to low heat methods, removing eggs from heat while still slightly soft, using gentle steaming or poaching, and avoiding browned edges entirely, biomarkers of oxidative stress have been shown to decrease, while nutrient absorption improves. This is one of the simplest dietary changes imaginable, yet its impact on long-term health can be profound, because it transforms eggs from a potential source of chronic stress into a precision tool for healthy aging. The egg itself hasn't changed in thousands of years, but modern cooking habits have, and reclaiming gentle preparation is not a trend. It's a return to biological logic. If there is one truth that science makes painfully clear, it's that the body remembers what we expose it to repeatedly, and for seniors, choosing how an egg is cooked may be choosing between quietly accelerating decline or actively protecting vitality, one breakfast at a time. Every time eggs are placed next to refined carbohydrates on a plate, a biochemical chain reaction begins that most people never feel in the moment, but almost everyone pays for later, because what looks like a normal breakfast is actually a metabolic stress test the aging body is least equipped to handle. When eggs are eaten with white toast, pancakes, pastries, or sweetened juices, blood glucose rises rapidly, triggering a sharp insulin response. And while insulin is a necessary hormone, repeated spikes act like a chronic signal telling the body to store energy, increase inflammation, and suppress fat metabolism. Research consistently shows that insulin sensitivity declines with age, meaning seniors experience higher and longer-lasting blood sugar elevations from the same foods compared to younger adults, turning common meals into hidden drivers of metabolic damage. When dietary fat from eggs enters the bloodstream at the same time insulin is elevated, the body preferentially stores those fats in adipose tissue, rather than using them for cellular repair, which helps explain why people can eat healthy foods and still gain visceral fat around the organs. Even more concerning is that insulin spikes increase the activity of inflammatory pathways like NFKB, which are directly involved in joint degeneration and cartilage breakdown, linking refined carb breakfasts to worsening arthritis symptoms over time. This is not speculation. Population studies repeatedly show higher inflammatory markers such as CRP and IL-6 in individuals who combine high glycemic carbohydrates with dietary fats on a regular basis. The tragedy is that eggs themselves are not the problem, because their protein and fat content are actually stabilizing when eaten alone or with low glycemic foods, but when paired incorrectly, their benefits are biologically hijacked. Refined carbohydrates digest quickly, stripping away fiber that normally slows glucose absorption, and without fiber, the gut releases glucose into the bloodstream at a rate the pancreas struggles to control, especially in older adults with reduced beta cell function. This rapid glucose surge also increases oxidative stress, which damages mitochondrial DNA, the very structures responsible for cellular energy production, contributing to fatigue that many seniors mistake for normal aging. What makes this pattern especially dangerous is that it feels harmless, even comforting, because the brain responds to glucose spikes with temporary dopamine release, reinforcing the habit while masking the long-term cost. Over time, this cycle trains the body to crave more refined carbohydrates, creating a feedback loop where inflammation, insulin resistance, and appetite dysregulation feed off one another. In contrast, when eggs are paired with fiber-rich vegetables, healthy fats, and fermented foods, the metabolic response is dramatically different because fiber slows digestion, flattens blood sugar curves, and reduces the insulin load required to manage the meal. Studies using continuous glucose monitoring show that meals containing protein, fat, and fiber together can reduce post-meal glucose spikes by more than 40% compared to carb-dominant meals, even when total calories are similar. Fiber also feeds beneficial gut bacteria, which produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, compounds shown to reduce inflammation, strengthen the gut barrier, and improve insulin sensitivity at the cellular level. This is critical for seniors because age-related changes in the gut microbiome are associated with increased intestinal permeability, often referred to as leaky gut, which allows inflammatory compounds to enter the bloodstream and worsen joint and metabolic health. Fermented foods like yogurt, sauerkraut, and kefir introduce beneficial bacteria that help restore microbial balance, improving digestion and reducing immune overactivation that contributes to chronic pain. When eggs are eaten alongside fermented foods, protein absorption improves, nitrogen retention increases, and the body becomes more efficient at using amino acids for muscle repair rather than converting them into glucose. Muscle tissue is one of the largest glucose sinks in the body, and preserving it is essential for maintaining metabolic health, balance, and independence as we age. Sarcopenia is not just about weakness. It is strongly linked to insulin resistance, increased fall risk, and higher mortality, making food pairing a silent but powerful determinant of longevity. Healthy fats like olive oil and avocado further slow gastric emptying, creating a steady release of nutrients that prevents the hormonal roller coaster triggered by refined carbohydrates. These fats also provide polyphenols and monounsaturated fatty acids shown to reduce oxidative stress and improve lipid profiles, counteracting the very damage caused by poor food combinations. The contrast is stark. One breakfast creates inflammation, joint stiffness, energy crashes, and fat storage, while another supports stable energy, muscle preservation, and metabolic resilience, using the same eggs as the foundation. What's most unsettling is that many seniors are never warned about this, and instead receive generic advice that ignores how foods interact inside the body, as if nutrients operate in isolation rather than in complex biological networks. The body does not respond to foods individually. It responds to patterns, timing, and combinations, and those patterns leave biochemical fingerprints that accumulate over decades. Refined carbohydrates paired with eggs may not cause immediate harm, but repeated daily exposure trains the body toward insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, and reduced anabolic signaling, all hallmarks of accelerated aging. In contrast, pairing eggs with fiber, healthy fats, and fermented foods sends a different message entirely, one that tells the body to repair, stabilize, and adapt. This is why two people can eat eggs every day and experience opposite health outcomes, because the difference isn't willpower or genetics alone, it's metabolic context. Food pairing is not a trend or a dietary preference. It is a physiological lever that determines whether nutrients are used for healing or stored as stress. When seniors learn to pair eggs wisely, they are not just improving a meal, they are altering hormonal signaling, immune activity, and cellular energy production in ways that compound over time. The most powerful part is that this change requires no supplements, no extreme diets, and no deprivation. Only an understanding that what sits next to an egg on a plate can quietly determine how the body ages. And once that truth is seen, it becomes impossible to unsee, because every meal becomes either a step toward inflammation or a step toward resilience, and the choice is made not by the egg itself, but by what accompanies it. For many seniors, yogurt seems like a simple, harmless food, something light, easy to digest, even medicinal. Yet hidden behind the colorful labels and health claims is a stark truth. Most yogurt on grocery shelves actively accelerates muscle loss, worsens joint inflammation, and destabilizes blood sugar, while one specific type does the exact opposite. Aging is not just about getting older, it is about losing the body's ability to respond to protein, a phenomenon scientists call anabolic resistance, where muscles stop reacting to amino acids the way they once did. This is why seniors can eat the same amount of protein they did at 40 and still lose muscle at 70. Muscle loss is not cosmetic. It is one of the strongest predictors of disability, hospitalization, loss of independence, and early death, and yet it is rarely discussed with the urgency it deserves. What research makes painfully clear is that seniors require a higher concentration of a specific amino acid, leucine, to trigger muscle protein synthesis, and most foods fail to reach that threshold efficiently. This is where full-fat, unsweetened Greek yogurt separates itself from nearly every other dairy product. Greek yogurt is strained, which concentrates its protein content, delivering significantly more leucine per serving than regular yogurt, milk, or most plant-based alternatives. Studies show that leucine acts like a molecular ignition key, activating the mTOR pathway that signals muscle repair and growth. And without enough leucine, protein simply passes through the body underutilized. What's shocking is that many low-fat or sweetened yogurts marketed to seniors contain less protein and more sugar than a small dessert, spiking insulin without delivering the amino acid signal muscles need to survive. Sugar-laden yogurts cause rapid glucose elevations, which increase inflammatory markers and suppress fat oxidation, creating a metabolic environment that actively works against muscle preservation. In contrast, full-fat Greek yogurt slows digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, and delivers amino acids in a steady stream that aging muscles can actually use. The fat itself plays a critical role because dietary fat delays gastric emptying and enhances the absorption of fat-soluble nutrients that support joint and bone health. Calcium from yogurt does not work in isolation. It requires fat and adequate phosphorus to be properly absorbed and deposited into bone tissue, something low-fat yogurts fail to provide efficiently. This matters because bone density and muscle mass are biologically linked, and as muscle weakens, bones lose mechanical stimulation, accelerating osteoporosis and fracture risk. Greek yogurt also provides bioactive peptides formed during fermentation, compounds shown to reduce blood pressure, improve vascular function, and decrease systemic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is a silent driver of joint degeneration, cartilage breakdown, and pain that many seniors accept as inevitable, not realizing it is heavily influenced by diet. The probiotics in real Greek yogurt help restore gut microbiome diversity, which declines steadily with age and is strongly associated with increased inflammation, immune dysfunction, and poor nutrient absorption. A compromised gut allows inflammatory molecules like lipopolysaccharides to enter the bloodstream, triggering immune responses that worsen joint pain and stiffness. By strengthening the gut barrier, probiotics indirectly reduce the inflammatory burden placed on joints, tendons, and connective tissue. This gut-muscle joint connection is not theoretical. Studies show that improving gut health improves protein utilization, insulin sensitivity, and physical performance in older adults. Another overlooked factor is vitamin K2, present in some fermented dairy products, which helps direct calcium into bones rather than arteries, reducing the risk of both fractures and vascular calcification. Seniors consuming fermented dairy consistently show lower rates of hip fractures compared to those who avoid it, even when total calcium intake is similar. What makes Greek yogurt uniquely powerful is that it delivers multiple aging-critical nutrients in a form the body can actually use, without overwhelming the system. Contrast this with flavored yogurts that contain 15 to 25 grams of added sugar per serving, a metabolic insult equivalent to drinking soda, especially dangerous for seniors with declining insulin sensitivity. Repeated sugar exposure increases advanced glycation end products, compounds that stiffen collagen in joints and connective tissue, reducing flexibility and accelerating pain. The irony is brutal. Foods marketed for bone and joint health often quietly worsen the very conditions they claim to protect. Full-fat Greek yogurt avoids this trap by keeping carbohydrates low, protein high, and fermentation intact. When consumed regularly, it helps preserve lean mass, which is the body's largest reservoir for glucose disposal, protecting against insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. Muscle is not just for movement, it is a metabolic organ, and losing it accelerates aging across every system. Seniors with higher muscle mass show better balance, faster recovery from illness, stronger immune responses, and lower all-cause mortality, independent of weight. Greek yogurt's digestibility also matters because fermentation reduces lactose content, making it easier to tolerate even for those who believe they are lactose intolerant. This means more seniors can benefit from its nutrients without gastrointestinal distress that would otherwise limit protein intake. When paired with resistance exercise, even light strength training, protein sources rich in leucine have been shown to significantly slow or reverse muscle loss, improving functional strength and quality of life. The difference between frailty and resilience often comes down to whether the body receives repeated anabolic signals or none at all. Full-fat Greek yogurt provides one of the most efficient, accessible ways to deliver that signal daily. And yet, many seniors are advised to avoid fat, choose low-calorie options, or prioritize sweetness over substance, advice rooted in outdated science that ignores how aging metabolism actually works. The body does not age evenly. Digestion, hormone signaling, and muscle responsiveness all change, and foods must adapt to those changes. Greek yogurt is not a miracle food, but it is a strategic one, aligning with the biological realities of aging rather than fighting them. The most powerful aspect is that it works quietly, meal by meal, reinforcing muscle, calming inflammation, and supporting joints without dramatic interventions. Over months and years, these small biochemical advantages compound, determining whether a person maintains strength and mobility or slips into gradual decline. When seniors choose full-fat, unsweetened Greek yogurt, they are not just choosing a food, they are choosing to send a message to their body that preservation matters, that repair is still possible, and that aging does not have to mean surrender. And once that message is sent consistently, the science shows the body listens.